Welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk Business. My name is Segun Manuel, and on today's episode of the program, we'll be looking at passion as a factor to grow your small business. With us to do justice to this topic in the house is one of Nigeria's foremost young entrepreneurs. As a matter of fact, he was nominated for the Photographer of the Year, Nigerian Photography Award. He won the Screen Producer of the Year, the Feature Awards. He was the Screen Producer of the Year, the Feature Awards, 2008, 2009. As the Vendor of the Year, the Nigerian Events Award. He's a young entrepreneur. He's doing very well. His name is Onye Ubanatu. He's the CEO. My passion, my life. Welcome to the program.
Yep, thank you.
Good to have you.
Absolutely, man.
I was this has taken 3 years to materialize.
I thought we are going to sleep through that without mentioning how far you've been chasing me. I'm like,
that's to tell you how busy you really are.
Absolutely.
And you studied engineering in school. I was reading through your biography and I saw that you studied. Tell us about that.
Well, on that regards, I actually went to Petroleum Training Institute, Warri, where I grew up from, and studied mineral resources engineering. And well, I believe right when I was a child, I've always had a thing for art. You know, I'm always fascinated by how things replay themselves. You know, like television, radio, even music and stuff like that. But my father, who happens to be an engineer, wanted his sons, you know, to be engineers, and I guess he talked us into that realm, and for some weird reasons I find myself saying, okay, I think I will be an engineer. But growing up as a kid, I could recall myself, you know, every little surface I find in the house, I want to play drums with it. You know, I just look at TV and I'm asking myself, where did these guys, how did they get into the television? You know, I try to look at the side or the back to find out there's a door, and I believe all of this just fueled my curiosity for art, and a lot of water has gone under the bridge, and this is where we are today.
I know that back in the days you used to play the drums.
Well, absolutely.
All that. Where's all that now?
Well, for me, drumming is a ministry, you know, because I started in the church in Warri, where I grew up. They used to regard me as the second best drummer after Nelson, who used to be the drummer for Word of Life. It was very good. Yeah. But my mother brought us up in church, and for some weird reason, she actually wanted everyone to do something. Okay. So my sister used to be a ballet dancer. They call them high praise dancers, doing all them stuff. My brother joined the ushering department, and they needed new suits here. This guy likes to play drums around the house, likes television and stuff, so she threw me into the choir. And that's where I started from. And it's in me. I do that as a form of worship, not as a form of, it's not a career, you know, it's just my own worship to God. And yeah, it's still there. I still play drums and I still handle business. So from
studying engineering, playing the drums, and how did you get into TV production? Okay,
first things first. Now I am still growing and exposed to a certain degree. I read a lot of stuff. I study things. I ask people. All of this has influenced something very strong in me as a man, which is this. I believe God, as the creator, you know, did not make mistake by putting humans on earth. Now, he created the heavens and the earth, and humans were on earth, meaning there is a single purpose for everybody. That's right. You know, there's a calling, there's a reason why you're here. Maybe it's to offer a solution in terms of music, engineering, art, whatever it is, doctors and all of that stuff. Now, right from when I was a child, I like to listen to my instinct, you know, and people always thought I was very stubborn. Even at some point, they had to take me to Zoe ministry when it came up in Warri that I had some kind of demon and things, you know, because if you tell me something, I want to listen to myself. If it doesn't go in line with what I'm thinking, you know, I'll go for, you know. Now, I always listen to myself, and I knew that I had a thing for art. I had a thing for television. So in growing up, I started asking myself, why am I so driven in this direction? Then I went on a little personal discovery and said, okay, what are the things that I can offer my immediate environment with this skill? There's a camera in my hands. What do I do with cameras? I capture things. So the question is this: whatever I take out of the camera to show to people must be able to inspire people. Now, I started out doing weddings and all of that stuff. Well, church programs, and started doing weddings. And as a matter of fact, in Warri, you know, I mean, this broadcast is international, so Warri is like a little community in the Niger Delta, you know, known to be very Now, you know, weddings then is like 3 hours VHS tape. So I sat down one day as a little boy and I said, no. You know, weddings should be like a story. It should be like 45, 60 minutes and things. And some people gave me the opportunity to do that. And it was great, but I knew there was something more. So I started asking myself, what are the problems we face in our society today? People want to be entertained. People want solutions to their questions. People want solutions to their health issues. And I was like, oh, good. So if I position myself in this area using my cameras to film things that inspire people to want to be great, then yes. I grew up in Warri as a typical average jaguda. Jaguda is a guy, it's a slang for a guy who's very stubborn as a child. It's a rascal, notorious. And you know, I used to go on barefoot from Jakpa Road all the way down to NRA Junction. Just why? Because I'm just fascinated by people, roads, streets. Just, you know, even as a little boy, I hide in the boots of cars at Jakpa Junction and just use the peephole, and they will carry me all through Warri, and they find me somewhere and bully me home. But you see, all of these things built up in me to the point where I had to say, look, there is a reason why I have a passion or I have a drive for this, which is to offer solution to my immediate environment. So the question is this: what are the problems that we face?
Well, before you go into all of this, I want to take you back.
Good.
You're already getting very
techie.
You were a drummer,
yes,
and you studied engineering. So the natural thing people would have thought is that, okay, this guy's going to do well in music. So how did you get to photography? I want to get to that root point. How did you know that I have to leave drumming, I have to leave engineering, and go into? When was that point, and how were you able to?
You know, as kids, you would find a child with like multiple talents. You find a child that can draw, can play the organ, and also can do other things. Well, same thing. I could play the drums as a child, growing up, and as a young adult. And also, I loved television, like I said. Now, drumming for me, I just knew that was, well, there was no way I could make money from that, but I loved it. It was like ministry to me. I just like to worship God, you know, the choir performances and, you know, praise and worship and all that stuff. I just like to travel to go for shows and whatnot. Now, when I graduated, no, it's somewhere when I was in the Petroleum Training Institute, I got really fed up of the educational system because, one, I was studying something that I knew my heart.
Nothing about.
Exactly. So I told myself that, as in Lagos, it's in the happen, I have to go to Lagos. Now, in all fairness, I actually went to Lagos to further my drumming ministry here per se. So I wanted to just join the biggest churches to just play drums. And the very first church I went to was Goshen Ministries. In that service, my very first service in Lagos, in that service, now mind you, I was doing camera in church and in Warri and also playing drums. But you know, I knew more people in the music industry in Warri and also a little bit in Lagos, Samuel Posu and all these people. Now, in that service, the keyboardist who happened to come from Warri, but you know, obviously was living in Lagos then, came to me and said, that they said their camera person didn't show up and they have to record the service. would you want to? And I'm like, why not? So the guy went to tell the woman that was in charge of the TV department in church, said, oh, this guy is a drummer from Warri, but he knows how to handle the camera very well. And that's how she came to me and said, would you like to? I'm like, you know. And as a matter of fact, coming from Warri, we just know the camera, that's all.
Yeah.
But you know, here is a church. First of all, the church is like all soundproof, AC everywhere, and they're like massive projector screens. No, you know, massive projector screens everywhere. Where as you're filming, you can actually see your shots live. And I'm like, oh man, this is the thing, man. So I got on the camera and come and see acrobatic display, like showing my little skills. And at the end of the service, she was very impressed. And some guy walked up to me, very tall, huge guy, walked up to me and said, oh, fantastic work with you're the kid on camera during the service. I said, yes, it's a fantastic work. I was looking at your shots and the angles and things. I never went to any film school. I never went to any camera operational. It was just all raw talent and drive and passion for things. And the guy said, so what do you do? I said, well, I lied. I said, well, I just came to Lagos to further my education. I just thought I'd join the church. I said, okay. Pending when you get your admission, would you want a job? So I said, just like that. But the guy was like, yeah, if you want to say, here's my card. Call me if you need a job. I run a production company. Now, because I loved television, back then in Warri, my favorite show, as a matter of fact, I thought that thing was produced in America or the UK or somewhere like South Africa.
Somewhere abroad.
Yeah, it was called Your Choice. It was a couple's, it was a dating game show, but the quality was superb, fantastic quality, the set, costume, everything. So I saw the episodes a couple of times in Warri, and I said to myself that, look, if at all I want to do camera, television production, this is the standard, anything less than this. And of course, it wasn't possible in Warri, you know, I just knew it was elsewhere. So this guy gave me his card in church, and I went home, I was very excited. Monday, I delayed because I had this fear. I was like, just like that, I have a job. So I chilled. On Tuesday, I chased the address and went there, and the receptionist just ushered me to the guy's studio, and I sat down. He said, oh, he's having a meeting, he will be with you shortly. So I sat down. And just looking at the screen, I was like, wait, on the guy's computer screen, I saw the same show I saw in Warri and told myself that, yeah. So I looked at it, I froze right there, man. So when the guy came in, I didn't even say hello, I didn't greet, I just said, wait, is this thing produced here? He chuckled and like, yeah, we produce it. I said, no, like this thing is produced here in Nigeria. I said, yes, like this studio you're in, I'm the production manager. And I'm like, wait. So right there, that was it. Drum, music, everything just went like second place. And I'm like, this is where we die. you know, because this is Warri boy, man. You know, but even, you know Warri, the way we express ourselves, the guy just didn't understand where I was coming from. He just kept laughing. And he said, well, there you go, you have a job, you're finally in a place you love. You know, to cut a long story short, you know, I worked for 4 months. They were begging me to collect salary. I never knew that I could work in a place that I love so much or do something I love.
And still get paid.
And still get paid. I thought in me, I would be the ones paying these guys. So that was how the journey started. And from there, you know, it was a production stroke advertising agency. From that point, I started learning the business behind the camera. So, you know, coming from Warri is just, you point and shoot, you finish, you give the tape to the client, they pay you your small money, and that's it. But here, they plan what you go and shoot before you go and film it. So it was a different world entirely. So it was like a school to me, and I worked there for like 6 years, learned a lot, served. I cleaned the office, cleaned the car, served practically everybody in that office. Why? Because I was very passionate about it. I knew that was exactly what I wanted. And the journey has been 13 years coming, and this is where we are.
Wow. But in between all of this, how were you able to find out that, how were you able to discover that you were passionate about this particular thing and not drumming like you used to do before?
When I started working in the company, like I said, I now got to know that television had more power than I thought. You know, what I was doing back in Warri, where I grew up from, was just church service and wedding videography and things. But here I was in a company where these guys were actually making TV commercials. And they will make a TV commercial, just one 45 seconds or 60 seconds material, and say this thing costs, they're selling it to the client for like 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, 20 million naira. And I'm like, wait, this is the same camera that is sitting in my office that we used to shoot this thing, and this thing will cost this amount of money. Then you see, you know, then when you show up at work wearing tie and suit, you must be working for the bank.
Exactly.
But here's the production outfit, and the staff will all show up, like everybody looking sharp. And I'm like, so now this camera employ everybody, then this job is really serious. So I knew there was so much power behind the media and television. Then I picked up the principle of having mentors. So I was very close to the chairman and the MD of the company. And once in a while, I would just ask them questions. So I don't understand, like, you drive a Jeep. Worry boys, we're not the fear now. Like, you drive a Jeep. This one drives Honda Sharp car. This one, they say, have a house in Lekki, in VGC. It's from this business. And I say, oh yes, there's so much opportunity in this. So I told myself that this is where my calling is, in the sense that since I have a drive and a passion to interpret things, I can reach a larger audience. And, well, mind you, I used to love the fact that my name was on TV. Because then in church, when it's like the end credit, they put my name, Cable Man. Yeah. And in school, everybody be yelling me, Cable Man, you know, and I loved it, you know. But that I had to change that to a positive feel, in the sense that if people know me that much and can appreciate my work, then, you know, that's the life. That's why I am.
Okay, you talked about how you found your passion. When we come back on the other side of the program, we'll look at how you were able to turn this passion to profit.
Hey.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back on the other side of the program, we'll look at more issues on how passion can help you grow your business with Onye Ubanatu. We'll be right back.
Mama Helen and you. Are you a single that is confused about making the right choice in life? Is your home on fire as a couple? Are you undecided about your future? Then join us on this interactive session with Mama Helen and you, showing on this station. Gospel African. Singing is taken to the highest heights with African beats on Gospel African. It's entertaining and informative.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Business. We are still looking at how passion can help you grow your small business, and we've been talking with one of Nigeria's best. In fact, it's a Future Award winner. That's one of Nigeria's foremost award shows for young people, and is one of the pioneer winners of the Future Award. So it's a Future Award. What's the word now? Future Award
alumni.
He's a winner of the Future Awards. And, Onye Ubanatu is also the CEO of My Passion, My Life. As the word implies, My Passion, My Life. He has serious passion for photography and cinematography. You've told us how you found out your passion and how you were able to go around, how you were able to serve, to get more about this. I want you to tell us, you know, many people find out their passion very early in life, and they follow that passion, they keep doing it, but they really don't know how to turn it into money. And after a while, that passion tends to die off, because really there's no fund coming in from there, and there's nothing really to fund that passion, you know. So how are you able to turn your passion into profits?
Okay. First of all, let me define the word passion. Passion is an intense desire for something. You know, now you see that word intense. It can be good, it can be very dangerous. Now, when you notice that you have a passion for something, here's what I always say. Last year, October, I was invited by the American Embassy in Cameroon to speak to creative people in the country. And at the end of the training, it was like fantastic 2-day training workshop. And at the end, I had this 10 minutes to talk about something. And I ended up talking about how not to get frustrated by your passion. And the whole ballroom was like,
Silent.
I could hear myself talk. And I had people in that class who were in their 50s, like my father's age and things. And that just brings to mind that a lot of people are very frustrated. You know, they love what they do, but they're very frustrated. Now, this is what I say. Your desire for something and business are two different things. Business has ethics. You have to play by the rule. So if you have a passion for something and you want to turn it into a profitable venture, and you're not disciplined to understand that, look, you must play by the rules of a business person, time, manage, fund management, planning, and all of these things. If you're not disciplined enough to play by these rules, then you will be frustrated. And you find a lot of young people who are into camera operation, they're doing the musicians, they have all kinds of stuff happening for them.
Fashion
you see,
designers.
you see them, they're happy, they love their stuff, but look, if you're doing these things and you're not able to pay your house rent, you're going to be you will be disturbed mentally. If you're a fantastic camera guy and everybody knows you, or you're a fantastic singer, everybody knows, or fashion designer, or an actor, or some trader or something, and you love the fact that you're giving out these things, and your son is sick and you can't pay the health bill, you can't pay their school fees, over time your mind will just die off. So this is what I always encourage people to do. Sit down, ask yourself, this thing that you're driven towards, the question is this: what value does this thing, or what value are you bringing to the immediate society? What challenge are you solving? For example, whoever created shirts, or whoever created this design, or whoever created a pen, solved the problem of putting your thoughts down. Whoever created chairs, this type of very comfortable chair, has solved the problem of, you sitting and your butt is getting weird at a certain time. Whoever created cameras thought about it to say, look, we need to capture moments and replay them. And the guy sat down and thought about it and went into work, created cameras and all this stuff. Now, you need to ask yourself, what is this thing I have strong desire for? What solution is it bringing to the immediate environment? Once you identify that, then put that aside. The next thing you now need to ask yourself is this: how can I turn this thing into money? Meaning you now need to learn business. So you find a lot of young people who are just driven by that desire, but really, look, the thing about passion is this: you can sleep and wake up and you want to do it. But in making money, you can't just sleep and wake up and money will wake up in front of you. No, there's certain things you have to do.
You must do.
So young people now need to understand that you need to start researching business. What's the full meaning of business? How can I get a bank involved? How can I save money? How can I plan? How can I market this idea? Who are my immediate buyers and things? But you see, what surrounds all of this is what value am I bringing to the immediate? Once you can answer these questions, bang. Because when I got to a point in the business and I knew that my name was getting bigger than myself. Like, I go to places and people say, oh, are you also so and so? And I'm like, oh, yes. And they say, oh, we like your work, you like your work. Then you see their eye looking at you like, oh, wow, seeing shoes, and they're trying to peep if you came with a car and they see you jump in a bike and they're like, no, I don't think I want to do this business. It got to a point my life was like that. And I knew that you need to stop and, retrace your
Look
step.
at this critically.
I went back to the drawing board and asked myself, what is my next plan for this thing? What are my 5-year goals? 10 years from now, what do I want to see this thing turn into? And that's another thing that's very important for creative people. You need to visualize yourself in that idea that, you're driven by. So I sat down and I understood that, look, if I don't go and learn small petty business, as little as branding yourself, opening a savings account, talking to financial people to say, I have this idea, or how can I turn this thing, and stuff. Now, another thing again, you have to get educated.
That's right. Financial education.
Yes, you have to get educated. Even the brand that you're part of, I can wake up and just say, I have a passion for helping people. In what area? Maybe feeding, providing food and things. Then, yeah, you can start up a restaurant. Okay? But the truth is this, you need facility to run the restaurant. So you need to think about lease, rent, mortgage.
Which is feasible for you.
Exactly. So by the time you start understanding all of these things, I see it is not rocket science. So I see that creative people were very afraid, or young people, when you say, let's go and get money from the bank. They see, how am I going to pay back? Or you say, okay, let's go and talk to a financial person to advise us on how we can turn this. You say, this is just, I just like, but no. No. Like I said, you want to run a restaurant. You need a facility. Who is going to manage the facility? Rent. In that same facility, you have lights, bill. You have power running. You have people helping you clean and get the place up to speed. So you see, all of these things now forms what turns the business into something that will be profitable. And if you don't learn these ethics, you'll be frustrated. And profit is what we're talking about at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But you see, you must not take yourself out of the core essence of why you are doing this.